Hi coders, my name is Bhupinder and I welcome you to my channel Adaptive Learning. In today's video, I am going to explain you how you can perform CRUD operation in Flask with MySQL. And I am making this video on request. One of my subscriber has asked me to make a video on Flask. So that is why I'm making this video. So what are the dependencies that I'm going to use in this video? Let me show you the dependencies first. Basically, Flask is a framework, so I will use Flask, and then I will use Flask MySQL for connecting to the database. I will use my Flask MySQL for connecting to the database to the MySQL, and it will provide us all the configuration how we can connect to the MySQL database. Okay, and apart from this, there is one more dependency PyMySQL. I will use that dependency for for changing the raw data into JSON form. Okay, I will show you how you can do that. Okay, so these are the three dependencies that I'm going to use. So what I'll do now, I'll open my Visual Studio Code, and here I will basically guys, the main point of this video will be on on the error that we normally get during during fetching the data from DB, and during posting the data into the DB. So what is the error? I will first show you the error, then I will tell you the how you can resolve the error. Okay, so what I'll do here, I'll simply create a file, and this will be my app.py file, and in this file I'll simply import first a Flask, import Flask, Flask, and after that I will simply uh, initialize the app inside Flask. This is the entry point. Okay, and we are done with this file, and after that we have to create one more file, that is db.py. It will contain all the code related to database connection. So what I'll do, I'll need firstly I will import app from my app, and then I will copy few code from here, this code, and I will simply paste that code here. So what I'll do guys, if you see this documentation here, they tell how to configure database. So we have to define these properties. Where we can define these properties, we have a function called config. Inside config we have to define these properties. Okay, so guys, I will not use MySQL database port because default is 3306, and my MySQL server is also running on 3306, so I will not provide this option in my configuration. So I just simply copy and paste my configuration to save the time. So I will simply copy and paste that configuration. I will remove this, and I will simply, yeah, here you can see we are defining app.config, and inside config we are defining user, password, db, host, and then whatever the user, whatever the password, whatever the database, whatever the host. Okay, and we are done with this file as well. Now we will create one more file that will contain our all the endpoints in the route, and that file will be called main.py. And in this file guys, I will need a few things. First I will need from app, I will need app, and then from db I will need mysql mysql, and from Flask I will need two things, and first one is request and the other one is JSONify. So whatever the data we get with any request, we will get from that this request function, and whatever the response we have to send to the user, we will send that through this JSON file. Okay, and after that what we can do, we will define one more thing here. uh, if if name equal to main, and what we want to do here, when this is equal, I will simply start the server For that I will use app.run, and here you can define your host and your port. If you don't define any port inside this function, it will automatically start on 5000. So I'm not going to define, I'm just simply uh, make the debug true, so that we don't have to restart our application again. So it will automatically take all the changes, whatever the change we make in our application. Okay, and now what we can do, we can start start typing the code. So the very first route that I'm going to make, I will first show you the table. I will use this table to fetch the employee table, and this is my database. I will fetch these two employee from my table. So for that I'm going to make a route, and here I will simply use @app, and then it will give us route function, and inside route we can define our path employees, and and if you don't define here any method, it will automatically going to take get. But if you are using post request, then you have to define here methods, and it will take a post inside a array. Okay, and then now what we have to do here, we will simply create a function here, and this function will be employees, and in this inside this function I will simply write try, and we also want to catch, so I will simply write here expect and exception as e, and I will print that exception, print e, and I will simply also want finally block here, finally block, and inside finally block for now I'm returning hello. Okay, and now what we need, now we want here connection. So what I'll do, I'll simply start writing for connection, and in this I will use MySQL, and it will give us connect function. We will connect that, and after this we can get cursor from this connection. We will add connection dot cursor, oh, connection dot cursor, and we need to remove this. And after getting the cursor, now we will have a execute function, and cursor dot execute, and in this we can pass our query, select star from employee, like this. And after hitting this query, executing this query, we can save all the rows inside rows, and we will fetch all the employee, cursor dot fetch all, it will give us all the rows, and we will simply send that response and JSONify, and we will pass that here. And after that after that I will simply also give a status code inside this status code, and status code will be 200. And let me write the same code for the error handling, like copy, and suppose if anything goes wrong, so what we will do, we will make the status code 400 here, and we will response, here we will type simply JSONify, and here we will type fail to uh, fetch employees, all right, like this. And we will simply return a response right now, like this. And we will also close the connection. Let me first close the cursor dot close, and then I will simply connection dot close, like this. Okay, so we are done with this first route, and let me start my application. And for that I will simply type here main.py. It will start the application for us, and as you can see, application has started on 5000. And let me open my postman. And guys, if you are seeing that I'm closing this connection finally block, the reason behind it I will tell you soon. Now let me first show you what I really want to show you. uh, if I go on 5000 and this path, it should return us these employees, right? So let me first go on this path. Why it is taking too long? Just wait. Yeah, I will simply type a localhost 5000 slash employees. It will give us all the employees uh, from the database. As you can see right now, you are able to see that these employees we are getting, but these are not in JSON form. Okay, so we have to change this data, this raw data, into JSON form. So for that I will use PyMySQL library. And let me first change this data. So firstly I will simply import PyMySQL, and inside cursor I have to pass here I mean my PyMySQL and dot cursor dot dip dip cursor like this. And now if I reload the application, and the application is reloading, and if I go again and hit the send button, now you can see guys, we are getting all the data in JSON form. Okay, so this is how we can get the data in JSON form like this. Okay, now what we have to do, I will show you. Like, let's just suppose something is something is not correct inside your code. Let's just suppose I want this block should not execute. I want. Okay, so for that I will change here. I will write here localhost 1. So okay, now it should give us some error. Okay, so let me show you. If this block don't execute, we should get this block, right? Okay, so let me show you. Now if I hit the send button, and as you can see guys, we are getting error, but we are not getting the error which is in this except block. We are getting this error. And why? Let me show you first the error. And it is saying cursor dot close local variable cursor reference before assignment. So what does it mean? It means that we are trying to close those connection which were never opened, because we did not go inside this block. Either we and we did not go inside this block. We are opening connection inside this block, inside try block, and we are not closing that connection, but we did not go inside try block. How we can close, or how the connection can open, right? So we get this error when we try to close those connection which are not open. Okay, when then only we get that error. To resolve this, what we can do, wherever we are opening the connection, we should also close the connection there also. So what I'll do, I'll just simply cut this code, and I will paste this code here, and I will save the change. And now if I hit the send button, now you will see that if try block don't execute, we will get the catch block error. So as you can see, fail to fetch employees. So that means now we are handling our connection in a good way. Okay, now we are getting this error, which is we wanted this error in a response, right? If this block don't execute, this block should execute. Okay, so this is how this code is working now. And we wanted to work this code in this way. Okay, and now what I'll do, I'll simply we are done with employees, right? Now I will create one more, and it is going to be post. And then let me, for post, what I'll do, I'll simply write @app, and here route, and it will give us a function, and inside its route function I will simply define my path, add employee, and then methods, and it is an array, and in this array we have to define our method, and it is post. Okay, and after that we have to define a function here, def, and the function is add employee, like this, and then try and try expect exception as e. Here I will print e, and then I also want finally block. For now I will return hello. Okay, now what I'll do, I'll simply because if we are working on post, we need data which is coming with the request. For that I will first fetch the body. So how can we fetch the body? So we have to type here JSON. It is a variable that I'm making, and inside this JSON I will save request and request dot JSON. So whatever the JSON we get, we will fetch JSON from this. All right, and let me just give me, oh, call this way. And now what I'll do, I have only have two fields, name and email, and this is auto generated, so I don't have to get this field from the body and either pass. So I will simply get this employee name and employee email. Okay, for that I will simply use name JSON, uh, JSON, and inside this I will simply use emp name, and again I will use email, and here I will simply write JSON, and in this we will simply write employee email, like this. Okay, now what I'll do, I'll simply make a condition here. So make sure like if name is there, and if email is there, and if method is post. So how we can get method? Request dot method, and it is equal to post. That only we are going inside. Okay, now we will define here query and SQL, and inside we will write our query, and the query will go in this way: insert into employee and emp name and emp email, and then the values, and values will be percentage s, and then we simply, okay. And now we can save one, because we want to pass this name and email with this query, right? So I will save data, and in this data I will simply save name and email, like this. And what I'll do, I'll now open a connection and execute this query. So for opening connection I will simply write a connection, and here I will use mysql dot connect, and then after that we can get cursor. For cursor I can get cursor from this cursor, and after getting cursor we can get execute cursor dot execute, and in this execute we can pass SQL and data. Okay, and we have to also commit this, otherwise it will not work. So we will simply connection dot commit, and response, I will send the response JSONify, and in this I will simply write employee has been added in DB successfully, like this. Okay, and I will also send the status code response, oh, response dot status code, and this will be 201. Okay, now new employee has been created. And now I have already told you, wherever you are opening the connection, we have to close their connection. Okay, so I will simply close the connection here. Cursor dot close, and then connection dot close, like this. Okay, and in error what I'll do, I'll simply this is a if block, we also want else blocks. So let me first write the else block here. So else I will send response JSONify, and here uh, body 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 not found, and with the status code response dot status, and this will be 400. And in exception, we let me just copy these two things from here, and I will simply paste this thing here. And what I want, uh, here we can type uh, fail to add employee, like this, and then we simply return this response, like this. Okay, we are done this post endpoint as well. Let me try this post endpoint. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll simply open my postman, and here I will make another request, and this request will be post, and I will go on local host 5000 slash add employee, and in body we have to pass two fields, and those two fields will be in JSON. So let me employee name Sachin, and the second is employee email Sachin @gmail.com. And now what we have to do, I will do one more thing. I will I will print that thing here. I just want to see the body, so I will use print, and this will be JSON. Okay, I just want to see the data, whatever the data we are uh, getting from the request. We just want to print the data. Now if I hit that button, so let's see what happens. Could not send because something went wrong, and let me see the server. So accept as a e, and accept as a e, localhost 1. Okay, we have got few error. Let me remove this, and then apart from this we have got some extra methods which we don't want. So I'll simply remove, and I will click shift plus delete to remove extra space, like this. Okay, now if I start my application should start on 5000. As you can see, application has started on 5000. Now if I hit send button, so we should be able to see employee has been added in DB successfully. If I show you the DB, so as you can see, Sachin has been added inside database Sachin, then Sachin@gmail.com. So this means our post endpoint is also working. Okay, so guys, I will not make all the endpoint, but you can get all the code related to delete, get by ID, and put in from my GitHub repository. though I'm going to make one more endpoint. This is the error handler. I just want to make this so you can have a better understanding how we can write the code for error handling. So I will simply extract a method called error handler, and inside this I will simply pass 404, and now I will make a function here, uh, other routes, and inside we have to enable the error, whatever the normally we error get, we have to we have to say, we are saying that whatever the error we are getting, that is equal to none, so that means there is no error. Okay, and now we want to send our response in the error. So what I'll do, I'll simply response jsonify, and inside I will simply use status, and this will be 400, sorry, if not 400, 404, and a message. I also want to send a message, and this message not found, and simply I can get the URL from request dot URL. Okay, and then I can simply uh, add a status code here, and this will be a 404, and then return response. All right, so if I go on any other port, sorry, any other path, right, employees path, we do have employees, but if I write something here like this we don't have any route that has the name employees. Okay, so if I hit the send button, now you see it is saying not found, this URL is not found. Okay, so that means our error handler is also working. Okay, and if I say anything else apart from this, like this blah blah, and let's see what happens, it will again going to say us that this whatever the endpoint we are trying to get, that does not exist. Okay, so this is how you can you can handle the other endpoints which are which are not in your application. And now what I'll do, I'll simply paste some code to like I'm not going to write the code for put, so I will simply copy the code for the put and explain that code to you. Simply this is the code for put, and I will simply copy the code for the delete, and so this is here, this is the code for the delete, and I have to also copy the code for id. I will explain the code to you. Just give me a minute. Yeah, now we are done with. So let me just explain the code to you. So we have this get employee by id. Whenever we try to get any employee on the basis of id, that means we have to pass the id. So we are passing the id and we are taking that id in the request. Whatever the request, whatever the url we have to pass that id from there, and after passing the id, this function will get the id, and we can send this id to our query. So this is just a query, select staff from employee where employee id this, and you can get the employee on the basis of this. Okay, so and rest of the things are same as we have done in other routes. Okay, and this is a delete is quite similar with the get by employee id, because here also we are passing the id in the route path, and we are passing that id in function, and then we are passing that id in our query. Okay, this is quite similar. And now if I show you the put request, and inside put you can see we are updating the data on the basis of put on the basis of id. So we need id to update any employee, so we are passing that id in our route, and then we are getting that id in, or sorry, passing that id in function, and after function we are providing that id in our query as well. As you can see in data, we are passing this id. So when we execute this id, it will update the data on the basis of id, right? You can see the query, and rest of the things are quite similar. Okay, so guys, this is how you can perform CRUD operation in Flask with MySQL. And guys, yeah, If you want to get this code, you can get this code from my GitHub repository. I will put the link of GitHub repository in description. You will get this code from there. And if you have any doubt still, then you can let me know in the comment section. I will happy to assist you. I will be happy to assist you. And thank you so much guys for watching this video till the end, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye, take care.